Hey guys, this is Dennis. So we're back again, and we're going to be recording another account review. This one is on Rig's account. So these are his current stats, and what we're looking at here is we see a triple S on World Boss, so he does have some rune depth. And let's see, Fighter 3, Arena is C2. And we see all the B12s done on the top right. Those are his teams. So these are some pretty solid teams actually for the Steel Fortress and for the Punisher's Crypt. Very logical teams. And for his raid team, so he's using a 1 minute raid team, not using a R5 like a BJ5 team. So those are all things that we're gonna discuss in more detail, but this is kind of like an overview of his account. Pretty much in our conversation, what he told me is right now he's focusing on Giant's Dragon and Necro, and it does make sense. Giant's Dragon and Necro, those are the new B12s, and with the increased rune quality, it makes sense to attempt to focus on those. He said that he is currently doing Necro because it's the safest. His goals are to make it to G1 in Arena and C1 in RTA. So he has been C1 before, as shown by the Elia over there. You can only buy that if you're C1. And G1 in Arena. Okay, so obviously, a lot of what I had said in our previous account review with Fudge's account, I'll link that in the description below. A lot of what I had said will apply for Rig as well. Those principles regarding understanding runes and all that, this is universal for everybody. So instead of repeating everything that I had said previously, this account review is going to focus more on PvP. Now, I guess there are a couple of schools of thought here. One school of thought being, if you, if you're not Garden ranking, then you're not ready for PvP. And then there's another school of thought where you don't have everything, you can't have everything. Nothing can be perfect, so you might as well just do your best. And to be honest, I don't think anybody's really 100% ever fully ready, unless you're like an SWC player who spends thousands, who knows how much they spend. Then you'll never feel 100% ready. You'll always feel like there's something missing. There's something that could be improved. There's something that you don't have that you could have, right? So with that in mind, I think that I briefly looked at Rig's account earlier. I think that we can make him get into Conqueror 1 or even Conqueror 2 in World Arena. So let's go ahead and just dive right into his account and look at this more in depth. Okay, good, it's still recording. So brief overview of the account, just taking a look at it. Okay, same issue with I had anticipated he would have this issue because he does not have a BJ5 team. So, missing some grinds. This is a really nice rune actually. That is a lot of defense. It's quite a nice rune. Definitely the things that I had said previously apply regarding understanding how to re-app. That's huge. That's going to skyrocket this account's progression, as well as understanding how to grind and enchant your runes correctly, right? For instance, this rune over here has a huge opportunity for growth. You would grind out that flat attack there for a speed, or you would enchant and then grind in some speed. So maybe around plus 12 extra speed on there. The HP can go up to 13, 14 HP. And the defense can go up to 27-ish defense. This is a really solid rune. So the rune quality can skyrocket on just getting grinds. Let's see. So quite a few nat 5s here. I see some artifacts. Okay. That artifact should not have been plus 15'd. Nice looking artifact there. This artifact, yeah, it makes sense why you plus 15'd it. I agree with this. And no. So I guess in this video we'll also do a quick we'll do a quick artifact recap. There are a lot of artifact guides now on YouTube, but I'll go ahead and just slam a quick version of the artifact guide in this video. Okay, so quite a few nat 5s. Crit damage Rika. Vanessa's looking like she needs more stats. Okay, so some of these are really nice, and some of these. Okay, so let's first talk about. We'll briefly, I guess, the direction of this video. We'll start with the PvE stuff real fast. I'm gonna, for the PvE stuff, we'll start with that real fast, and then we'll go full blown in depth into PvP. PvE. Everything that I'd said about Fudge's account applies to your account regarding rune knowledge. That needs to be done. So everything that I've linked in the description below for Fudge's account review, I want you to review that as well. Now, to bounce off of that, other PvE stuff that we need to talk about mana, and mana is probably one of the most underappreciated resources. No one talks about mana because everybody apparently has like no mana issues. Mana is one of the hardest resources to manage, right? And the management of mana, it kind of fixes itself when you manage your runes correctly. Your mana actually improves, right? So you should be able to plus 12 every single rune that you obtain. If you obtain the rune, you should be able to plus 12 every single rune that you should be keeping and sell everything else. Like if you're plus 3ing the rune and then you sell it, or maybe you plus 6 the rune and you sell it, you plus 9 the rune and you sell it. Every single rune that you go through, you should be gaining mana while selling every rune and keeping everything else that should be plus 12 to be at plus 12. The part that depletes your mana is going to be when you plus 15 those runes. However, if you're just plus 12ing everything, your mana should go up. So, rune knowledge does inherently fix the mana issue. However, the mana issue is exacerbated when we talk about the next two things, which is first of all artifacts, and second of all grinds and enchants. So this account has a severe lack of grinds. And that's gonna, I guess, push to our next PvE discussion, which is Rig had told me in the beginning he wants to get a stable dragons, giants, and necro team. In my opinion, I think he should not do that, because his account right now, I mean, okay, so if we're scrolling through, yes, some of these units are not ruined. He has 2 Varads, that's why. But some of these units are not ruined, and some of them probably should be ruined. However, I think what should be the focus now is, instead of gathering more runes, what the focus should be is perfecting the current good runes and making them from good to really good. That should be the current focus right now, instead of just gathering more runes. He needs to start perfecting the current runes that he has. So what I'm going to recommend is, instead of doing dragons, giants, and necro, we should be moving into either artifact farming or R5. Now, R5 is going to be a huge mana sink. Every single grind that you pull, the blue grinds, you should be keeping blue grinds. Blue ones, purple ones, orange ones, you should be keeping them all. And even the blue ones cost a lot of mana to use, okay? So you should be keeping all the grinds and you should be using them. Now what's going to happen when you do this is your mana is going to deplete like crazy. So to supplement that, I want you to be, I think that it's going to be really hard depending on what your current mana pool is. If you have over 100 million mana, I will tell you to farm artifacts and BJ5 at the same time. So pretty much we need you to make a BJ5 team. I know that your runes can do it. I'm looking at your rune depth. I know that your runes can handle a BJ5 team. So you can follow the guide, the pretty simple guides. You follow the guides, and with the advent of artifacts now, it's even easier to make it. So follow the guide, make a BJ5 team, and that should be your primary focus right now. Artifacts, most of your units are not artifact up. Now, again, as I said, that one looks nice. That one shouldn't. Okay, this artifact here is an example of mana management, right? If you're plus 12ing all of your desirable runes, your mana goes up because you're selling everything else. Now, the same thing can be said about artifacts. In my experience, if you're plus 6ing or plus 9ing your artifacts, and you sell all the other artifacts that you don't need, and you keep all the other good ones at plus 6 and plus 9, your mana actually goes up. But if you plus 12 the artifacts, or even plus 15 the artifacts, your mana is going to plummet. So proper artifact management, I think all artifacts in your account should not be greater than plus 9 for now. If it's for BJ5, by all means, you need to plus 15 it. But everything else, keep it at plus 9. Okay? So, because your mana is going to be one of the hardest resources to manage. If you blow your mana like this, you're going to be stuck. Because imagine having a full inventory of artifacts. You have 300 artifacts, and you have 0 mana. And you can't even farm more artifacts unless you sell the current good ones that you have in your inventory, right? So we want to avoid an extreme situation like that, and that's why mana management is important. So I guess that's a quick and dirty version of the PvE part of this. One thing I'll just throw down real quick regarding artifact substats. The defense plus proportional to HP lost 23%. Those lines are pretty garbage. The only good lines for artifacts, the attack increasing effect is actually really good. The attack increasing effect, the defense increasing effect, those multiply your defense and your attack when you have a defense buff or when you have an attack buff. Those are huge buffs, right? If you have a Tyrannus, the defense increasing effect skyrockets the defense. If you have a Lucian and you have an attack increasing effect and you give the Lucian an attack buff, the Lucian's attack skyrockets. Those are good. Speed increasing effect and what's the other one? There's speed increasing effect and there's critical increasing effect. Those two are garbage because unfortunately they don't multiply like you would think. So I didn't do the math. I'm just gonna, if you want to know why they're garbage, you can research it or you can just take my word for it. What else is good? All the additional damage, like the third line here, additional damage by 2% defense, these artifact lines are amazing. Now, the translation sucks. What these artifacts do is they only really work if you have multi-hits. Now, Bastet has a second skill which does a lot of multi-hits, and it's a really good artifact. I think, since we're just going to do a quick artifact review, let's just go on to my account real quick. So this is my Juno. This is the additional damage, extra additional damage here. This makes the Juno do an insane amount of additional damage because she multi-hits. A unit that, a support unit, these artifacts buff supports like crazy. Units such as Lauren, units such as Fran, let me show you my Fran. Units such as Lauren and Fran, they benefit heavily from these additional damage artifacts. So in every situation, you should be getting those artifacts and keeping them. I guess this is a good point as well. So I looked at your Perna earlier. Your Perna is artifact incorrectly. Now, my friend is not runes right now, obviously. However, what I want to draw your attention to is if you look at the Fran's stats, look at her defense. Her defense is 461. Relatively speaking, most units have around 600-ish base defense. 700-ish defense is considered high, and 650-ish is probably around normal. And 7 or in the 400 range, Perna's defense is around the 400s, and so is Fran's. That means Perna and Fran's base defense is very, 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 very low. So the max value that you should be getting, as you notice, both of these artifacts are flat defense. The flat defense is way significantly more. For instance, if I want to get an additional 200 defense on my Fran, I need around 50% defense, right? If you, like, 200 is almost about half the value of 461. So I need about 50% defense. Literally, like, my slot 6 rune needs to be a percent defense rune in order for me to gain 200 defense, right? Relatively speaking, the flat defense on a monster with very low defense, of flat defense artifacts, those are the ones that are very significant. Look at Aegir. Aegir's defense is 571. That's relatively low. So what does that mean? Well, okay, I guess I didn't do it for this guy because he already has a lot of defense, 900. But the consideration should be, you see the Lauren's defense is 516. What does that mean? That's why I have the flat defense artifacts, because units with very low defense like that, you want to supplement the defense with artifacts like that. Let me see if I can find another quick example. Not the cat. Oh, Vigor. Okay, Vigor is a great example. Look at his defense, 538 flat defense. The defense is very low. So in order to keep him alive, I have these defense artifacts here so that way he doesn't die. So to continue the discussion, the good artifacts that you want to keep are the additional damage artifacts, especially in units with multi-hits. Obviously, every artifact with recovery percent, those should be good. You want to kind of keep those as well. And one of the most powerful artifacts while we're here is the accuracy artifact. Those accuracy artifacts are amazing. So you want to keep those, right? Rig uses Daphnis. Daphnis is a unit that has been crazy buffed because of the artifacts. Why? First of all, Daphnis needs to have good defense, and these artifacts provide a lot of extra defense. In addition, Daphnis is typically not runed with a lot of accuracy. Now, this artifact would help Daphnis a lot with the accuracy requirements, because if he doesn't land that defense break, he's in big trouble. So that's kind of how you use the artifacts to supplement what you currently have. And now on the left-sided artifacts, the best ones are going to be the artifacts that reduce the amount of damage that you take. Let me find a good example. Let's see. Vigor has reduced damage from wind. Antares is going to be a big target, so he's got reduced damage from water, reduced from fire. I fear... in higher elo, you're going to get hit by a lot of ragdolls. So that's why I have reduced from dark, reduced from water because of Barbara's, I'm scared of Barbara, reduced from fire because of Daphnis. Those are the main hitters, right? So every single unit that you would expect to take a lot of damage, I have those artifacts there to supplement. I use the monkey to counter Lucians, so that's why. Additional damage artifacts there. So that's kind of like the quick and dirty version. Miho, what does she fear? She fears being hit by Rocky. So therefore I have reduced fire. So that way when she gets hit by Rocky, she doesn't die, right? So these artifacts, there's kind of a logic behind them. Like the Juno artifact, there's reduced from water. Why? Because I'm afraid of Barbara. Right, so that's kind of the quick and dirty version of the artifact guide. Look at the base stats and kind of logically tell yourself, oh, the Vertihill only has 500 base defense. That's pretty low. So let's give the Vertihill some defense, right? And that really will help. You'll see your monsters get significantly better. So I think we pretty much talked about, let me think, all the PvE stuff that we need to talk about. I'm going to pause the video and then reconnect the video just to make sure I don't lose any of the footage.